Now we've all heard of pretty privilege, but today I want to talk about the cons of being like a conventionally attractive woman, especially in the workforce. So I'm just going to take it back to the beginning of like when I was 19 years old, I was going through dental school, and then when I tried to find a job, it took me 14 interviews to finally land a minimum wage job. And after a few months of being at that office, the older women in the office tried to get me fired behind my back for making makeup transition videos, and they went to my boss about it. And so I definitely left because like, what the fuck? I also remember interviewing at a dental lab when I was 19, and after 2 hours of making like this teeth model, they put me in a room of 5 different men and just like asked me questions, and every time I would answer, they would laugh, and at the end they told me that I would not be getting this job offer. I've been name called by employers in the past and just basically always treated different than my coworkers. And I literally think, well, I know it's because I just do my makeup a certain way and I take really good on my appearance, and I guess that really just pisses people off. After experience, I've literally learned to just wear the least amount of makeup if I'm going in for a job interview, if any at all, and I dress extremely modest. I'm talking like turtleneck, like long pants, like it's just exhausting. This is honestly the craziest thing I've ever had happen to me though. Earlier this year, I literally applied to a job and I was turned away because I was going to be too distracting for the men there. How is that even legal?
Okay, I wanted to come on here and share an unpopular opinion about being pretty and pretty privilege. I think I would not trade my looks to be less attractive, but I will say that I do think that my looks have been a big factor in a lot of the trauma that I've had in my life. I was often excluded by girls, and when I would be friends with girls, it would always be like fake, like they would just want to be around me for the reputation, or when they would be around me, they'd be passive aggressive to me to try to make me more insecure. And I've had people like hide my phone, try to destroy my things to like bring me down, and they're my friend. I'm constantly catcalled by men who don't have pure intentions towards me, and a lot of guys pretend to be my friends to try to get with me. In the workplace and stuff like that, I deal with people treating me like I'm stupid just off of first impression, or even when I try to prove myself, it's like I can't be right. Like even if I am right, it's like something I can't be right. People like to make things harder for me a lot of times because they feel like I haven't experienced that much difficulty in my life because of how I look, or even if something is going wrong in my life, people don't take it as seriously because of who I am. And yeah, it just, I guess, makes it not as serious. People trying to constantly compete with you, or people not thinking that I am being genuine when I'm being myself. Like I've had people try to say that I was not being authentic, or I'm like somehow a wolf in sheep clothing, or like my ex even said I was too good to be true, which I'm human. I mess up just as much as anybody else. We're all equal, right? But I do genuinely try like really hard to be a good person, but people always think it's like fake for some reason. And I'm not saying it's all bad, but I'm just saying I do have a lot of trauma from it.
Pretty privilege might be a thing, but you know what else is a thing? People treating you like you're fucking stupid, and women literally being the biggest bitches just because of the way you look. Everything in this world is around duality. If you start to get more love, you also start to get more hate. So if you're getting more privilege, know that you're also going to get the other side. That's literally just the way that it works. So don't ever think, oh, it's not fair, she gets pretty privilege. She's also getting a ton of hate, misjudged, you name it. Tell me in the comments if you get that too.
If an ugly person does something bad to a pretty person, they'll never admit that it's because of jealousy. When you're ugly, you can get away with a lot of malicious behaviors because, well, it's pretty on brand for your kind. You never have a problem with pretty girls because you're perfect. You're expected to be and act perfect because in their eyes, life is handed to you. And no matter what you do or where you go, you're constantly going to have to prove yourself. They think you're dumb because of your looks, and therefore they're going to treat you like a doormat. They think that they can get away with anything. They don't respect your opinions, your intellect, or your character. but they will respect you if you're a bitch. You could be nice, but not too nice. Even when you're crying, they're gonna be like, oh, you're so pretty when you cry. They don't even care about your feelings. You're just a goddamn zoo animal to them. You're not even a human, you're an entity. And if you're crying, they'll either support you in your crying because they love to see you weep, or they'll tell you that you're crying because you're just craving attention and it's not that serious. They just imagine you having this perfect life, these beautiful looks, you're rolling in the dough, eating cake every night and champagne, and still looking the way that you do. Men will mess you up physically and women will mess you up psychologically. There's also a secret disdain that comes from men simply because they want to be you. They're jealous and they think that you don't ever have to work for anything in your life. Very rarely will women help other women. Men help women and women help men and themselves only. When you're deemed as highly attractive, more than often people expect you to do the approaching. So it's going to be a very isolating experience. And if people are not on your level, they'll simply hate you. You got to remember, not everyone wants to do better for themselves, and you're a constant reminder of what they lack. You walking around looking like a snack is forcing these people to look in the mirror. You're forcing these people to look at themselves in a way that they never have before.
I gotta tell y'all one thing about pretty privilege that nobody ever talks about. And I ain't even supposed to be talking right now, but I really gotta say this because it's getting on my damn nerves. So one thing about pretty privilege that nobody ever talks about is the fact that, yes, people may think you are very attractive and people may be interested in you, but more often than not, they are afraid of you. They are intimidated by you. Literally every week, my coworkers come up and they tell me about people who are giving me all these compliments and just talking like, just very descriptive, to the point where I'm over here listening to these secondhand compliments and I'm like, oh, really? Said that about me? And they never said it to me because they were too scared, they were too nervous, they were too intimidated. And then I hear the descriptions of these people. The description I just heard, she was like, oh yeah, he was tall and he was built and he had a veteran hat on. I'm like, he was tall, he was built, he was a veteran. Could have been Suri's daddy. But that's the part that nobody ever talks about. And it's stressful because it's like, you want to be pretty, but you don't want to be too pretty. You got to be approachable. It's just very ghetto. A lot of people don't talk about that aspect of it. You think it's all fun and games over here, but it's really not. It's actually lonely as hell.
So I'm going to explain how pretty privilege is actually subjective, and if you come from a really hard background, it's actually a detriment to who you are and not actually a benefit. So for me, coming from the foster care system, coming from poverty, homelessness, all the hardship, my ethnic features were often hypersexualized in a white supremacist foster care system. Like being hypersexualized at a really young age because of my indigenous features, which also correlates to the missing word indigenous women, and the hypersexualization of indigenous people is really hard. And now in my everyday life as an adult, I didn't always look like this, but because people see me the way that they do now, they think very surface level, and so they assume that my life is really easy because of the way I look, when I had to work really fucking hard to look like this. And so when I talk about my experience within foster care and my own experience with mental health, oftentimes it comes with the gaslighting experience because they think that I haven't experienced anything because I have pretty privilege. It comes from the same thing within me learning how to work on my self-esteem and my confidence because I went through hardship, and I realized that if I don't work on my confidence and work on my self-esteem, then people will take advantage of me because I'm pretty and because I think that they can do whatever they want and because they look at me like a trophy. I'm home now, and another thing that is a detriment when you're attractive is also being confident at the same time, because society doesn't like confident people. They also don't like confident women, especially. So there's oftentimes, because I'm confident in myself, especially within workspaces, if I am especially assertive, men take that as really intimidating and as if I'm trying to challenge their power. And that comes with a lot of people trying to belittle me or try to humble me when there's no reason to be humbled because confidence is silent. Did I mention that I was hypersexualized in every aspect of my life? Like even around gay people, they'd be sexualizing me, like hyper. And I just, and also when I do talk about like anything within myself, it always reverts to people asking me if I'm going to start an OnlyFans or if I'm going to start doing they just sexualize me. Like it's horrible. And then outgrowing friendships that weren't good because people were insecure and they tried to compare and give evil eye and a lot of other things. And that's why I think people that I think in general the patriarchy affects women in really, really bad ways. But oftentimes because people are deemed attractive, people often gaslight their experience as if they have it easier, when I've actually had friends where I've told them they've told me things about mental health and I'm like, oh, I understand. And they're like, how would you have pretty privilege? And I've had to let them go. And I've also had to deal with friends in general just being jealous of things when I get very angry because I'm I had to work really hard even for the personality that I have right now. None of this shit came easy to me. And also it also made me extremely jaded, because now when I'm around men or I'm around anybody, I always second guess if they actually like me for me, or if they like me for the things that they think they'll get from being around me. So yeah, pretty privilege, at least for me, like, it just came with a lot of hardship, and it still does. And I haven't exactly figured out how to, like, because even when I tell people that I've been, like, hypersexualized, like, people always just blame it on me. Like, I've asked women and I'm like, have you experienced this? And they're always like, oh, well, it never happens to me. Like, I never experienced that. Like it's as if it's my fault that I'm always seen and viewed in a way that is not consensual. So I think that's why I'm, like, celibate right now, and why I have no friends, is because I just don't trust people anymore.
The other day I went to this, like, live music event with my friend, and it was like a merch table. So we went to a merch table, and I'm saying hi to everyone. It's like middle-aged women. Some look like they're in their late 20s and everything. I'm not paying attention to the way they look, but they're staring at me like I'm a freaking alien. And I was just wearing, what was I wearing? I wore a maroon tank top. It showed a little bit of cleavage because I'm a big-chested woman, so it displayed the milkshakes that bring on the boys in the yard, but it wasn't like, I made sure it wasn't too much. I don't like it when they're just, like, bulging out, but it's like there's only so much I can hide. I had, like, a ruby red tank top with my ruby red hair and ruby red lips, and I didn't really wear much makeup. I just wore my basic everyday look. I had a black cardigan and black leggings, but my black cardigan was covering my butt. I don't like to, like, display too much. And I just wore my basic Coach sneakers that were covered in so much mud from the event. But we went to the table and everyone was looking at me and they were just like, your face is so pretty.
You're, like, really pretty. Thank you. So you agree? What? You think you're really pretty? Oh, I don't know.
I was like, thank you. And then someone else was like, yeah, your face is really pretty. And then someone was like, but don't let that get to your head. And it's like, huh? Like, where did that even come from? So I reacted. I'm just like, never that. And then I just continued to look at the stuff, and I could feel and I could see them in the corner of my eye just staring at me and, like, analyzing my every movement as if they were looking for a reason to not like me. So it was like I couldn't even, like, let my guard down and be myself, because it felt like I was being scanned to see, like, if I was, like, a bitch or not for having a pretty face. So it was like everyone was on edge looking at me as if I was, like, going to kill them, like as if I was gonna bite them or something. And then I went to one of the tables with this lady and I was asking her what she does, and we were chatting about what she does and everything. But before soon as I went up to the table to, like, connect with this lady, as soon as she saw me, I also had black lace gloves from when I visited New Orleans. So I was wearing the black lace gloves because I just felt like I was underdressed. It was like a music festival and I didn't even feel like I did much. Like, I matched my shirt to my hair, but that's pretty much it in terms of, like, things that's, like, spectacular. So I'm thinking I need to do more. So I added the theatrical gloves, and the lady, she looked up at me and she was like, oh, are you one of the performers? And I was like, I wish, because I was just informed about this event in my town that I've been in for so long. That happens every year. So I'm like, I wish, I wish someone told me about this. And she looked stunned. She was like, and I thought about it later on. I'm like, was she expecting a bad reaction? Was she trying to provoke me to be a bitch by asking if I was a performer? And it did kind of sting, but in the moment I didn't react, because that's exactly what people like that want. That's exactly what people who hate on you because you look put together want. They want a reaction. And then once I hit her with that response and I wasn't bitchy is when she opened up, she, let her guard down. People don't even realize how beautiful they are. And then they get bullied and harassed and treated wrong because people are just trying to defend themselves from a monster that doesn't even exist. It just exists in their head. There's a monster of you that exists in people's head when you are conventionally attractive. There are men that think all attractive women are, like, spawned from hell. That women who put on makeup are temptresses. That women that show their cleavage are temptresses and they're looking for attention and they're trying to steal your man. It's like, come the hell on. Can I just have tits in peace? Can I just, like, put on a little bit of lipstick in peace? Like, the hell I look like doing backflips and cartwheels to show you, to prove something that I did nothing for you to think I am. It's very nice nasty, because it's like you can't be fully nasty to someone you don't know like that and you're just assuming, is this way. So a lot of people will take the whole nice, nasty approach and then provoke that person to become a bitch because they're treating them really subtly nasty. So pay attention. If you are on your journey of leveling up, I highly suggest to build some thick skin because you're going to trigger a lot of people. And it's not your fault that you're triggering people by wanting to be your best self, but you will. And that comes with a lot of sideways behavior. And I personally don't like to give people my energy when they're trying to take it. I like to kill them with kindness, because once you kill them with kindness, if they continue to be nasty, they're just showing you more of their character, who they are, and how they feel about themselves, to put all that energy into being nasty to someone that did nothing to them, which gives you the evidence, which gives you all you need to get the hell away from them. Before I go, I want you guys to comment your experience leveling up. If you're starting your level up, if you're starting your weight loss journey, if you're starting, like, you know, wearing makeup and dolling yourself up every day, I would love for you to share your experience in the comments, the good and the bad, because it's an experience and yeah, we can all experience it together. I take the pros over the cons because honestly, I personally benefit from looking my best. It's not about the way people treat me, it's about the way I feel about myself. When I look like a goddess, I feel like a goddess. Even when I don't look like a goddess, I could still feel like a goddess, but let's be honest here. When we're looking our best, we feel really good. It feels really good to look nice. You don't have to do too much to be in your goddess energy and to look your best. I saw some comments in my other video about looking your best, about like how some of you don't have the energy to be doing all that, but like, what is all that? Everyone has their own way of looking their best. Like for me, sometimes it's just a little bit of concealer, some blush, some powder, and just knowing that my hair is looking good and my nails are done, I'm good. And sometimes I'll put on eyeliner, sometimes I'll put on eyeshadow. It's different every day, but it definitely goes a long way to level up and look your best. I'll see you in the next video.